Good morning, and welcome to the third Sunday of Advent, where we're going to take a look at that small topic of love. I feel fairly safe in making an observation about all of us. I'll just embrace all of us in this generalization that we humans spend our life in the search for love, in the search for understanding the presence of love. We are drawn to this energy. We desire its presence in our life. We vision, we dream, we affirm, all to manifest that perfect love. I'm not alone in this, right? Somebody else might raise their hand to this. Thank you. Perhaps we're looking in all the wrong places, as the song lyric says. The power of divine love is so much more than what we define as our human experience of that emotion. It's more than something that we are, certainly than something we can possess, something we search for or desire to acquire. The understanding of love. We seek to know the cosmic and transcendent God capacity that sets us in the right direction of comprehending love that marks this season. A season of love. As a friend and a colleague said, a love that changes the world. That's what we want to understand. And as we look at the story of this season, how are we to grasp the actions of the players in the Christmas story? When we look at young Joseph, asked by God to marry a young woman already with child. Now, in my youthful days, such a situation would have been a scandal. Well, imagine thousands of years ago, in a culture that was rich and rigid with law. Spiritual law that guided every aspect, every minutiae detail of their daily life. And then we come in that understanding to consider Mary, spoken to by an angel of the Lord. Can you get any more presence and pressure in the request? Asked by the angel of the Lord to bring an extraordinary child into the world in extraordinary circumstances. For Mary, this also came with the burden to go against family customs, to go against religious doctrine, to go against cultural law. Joseph and Mary, in their own journeys and in their process of this experience, we can imagine they were guided by, comforted by, reassured by that cosmic flow of that divine love, the ideal concept that surpasses what most of us have experienced or can understand about love from our human perspective. What else would it have been that it could have given them the hope, faith, peace, and courage to make this journey, to say yes to God's call of birthing a greater understanding of love into the world, giving birth to the baby Jesus. This whole story is an encapsulation of the immense divine love being birthed in the world. Not just 2,000 years ago, but of that divine love birthed in us, in our hearts, in our minds, in our lives. Now, I think we've all been conditioned to believe that we arrive in this world in a state of without. We are without ability as infants, and we are dependent on loving adults to care for us. We are without knowing in our infancy and our toddler age, so our whole youth and perhaps all of our life is spent on education, on gaining knowledge. Most bereft of all, we end up with this false idea that we are without love. And we usually engage in all kind of misplaced shenanigans in an effort to bring that presence of love into our experience in order to be filled up with love, to have love, to be and to feel love and to feel loved. We desire that with all of our being. Now, if you heard our conversation 2 weeks ago on the topic of hope and faith, you know that we spent that time, hopefully, opening our mind to the realization that we already possess, already come equipped with all of the faith that we need. We are already tanked up, full supply on board. And this is true of the divine idea of love, just as it is with faith. And as we look at faith and or love and we feel like maybe we don't have enough, we talked about the analogy of reaching for that rheostat and dialing up faith in our life. And so if we are in that space of feeling like we desire more love, or if we are feeling like love has abandoned us or we have abandoned love, we need to find that place where we can open floodgates of love and let it loose in the world through our experience. Because this potential of God already lies within us. We are here to use that energy to heal, to build, to create, to transform, to soothe, to sustain. And God knows, at the end of this year, 2020, that power of love, we need it to unify humanity. Perhaps we need it to unify the thoughts in our own mind. And all of these positive actions are fueled by the presence of God's divine love. So let's make that point here that we already have all this love that we need. That premise of all we have is already present. All we need is already present. This is true of divine qualities that make up our experience, all of them. And in the Advent season, we focus on the divine qualities of hope and faith, peace, love, and all of those make the journey toward our awakening to joy, to the awakening presence of light. These divine qualities are what our founders called, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, what they called our divine inheritance, meaning we already possess them. The only thing we have to do is often get out of our own way so we can feel their presence, so we can share them as we are called. We came with everything we need, whether it's faith, peace, harmony, strength, compassion, and yes, love. And we just seek to get out of our way so that we can have the experience of the presence of God as us, in us, through us, bringing love into the world. Then why sometimes don't we feel that energy of love? Or why do I feel like nobody loves me, or that the love I have to share is ignored or not received? Well, all of those comments are a clue that when we begin thinking in our mind and acting as if love is not present, we aren't engaged in the idea of divine love. We are engaged in the transaction of I'll give you and you give me. There's an old song, a Cole Porter song called True Love. I give to you and you give to me. Yes, but much better that arises from within us and the God essence of who we are to give strength and purpose and energy and confidence to our act of love, whatever it may be in the world. We seek to be in attunement with divine love. Eric Butterworth, a respected and renowned unity minister and author, prolific author, described love with this statement: love is my attunement to the cosmic flow. I'd sign up for a tune-up in cosmic flow, yes. Until we let go of our humanized concepts of the whole arena of God. You know, God isn't the white-bearded figure sitting on a throne on a cloud in the sky. Love is not hearts and ribbons and flowers and chocolates, although I wouldn't mind some chocolate. Love and these qualities, these things that we yearn for, that we seek, are the divine essence and the qualities of God. So much more than our feelings and our emotions, so much more than anything we search for in the face, the mind, and the heart of someone else. It's an energy flow that connects us to everything, connects us to one another. And when we are the radiating center of this ideal love, we are the presence, the essence of God in the world. And we are remembering and living the truth of our holy being. This is the power of love, a cosmic influence, not simply the stuff of which Valentine cards are written. So what do we do then to gain an understanding of love and our relationship to this cosmic and divine power? Well, we can look to our origin. And I'm not talking about the origin story we might each have that has to do with the identity of our parents or our genealogy or our lineage, or the hometown that we came from, or the country of our birth, or our high school or our university or our career. All of these reference points cast shadows in our life, and they carry importance for us. They inform our journey. But let's not allow our connection to these details of our human life to overshadow the origin that defines and empowers us, that we are magnificent creations of that one presence and that one power, that we are beloved and blessed children of the Most High. I do think it's time for us to become blessed and beloved adults of God, so that we can fully step into the understanding of who we are and grasp this love that flows through us because we are the physical emanation of God. God only gets to show up on the planet because we have that energy imprint, and we say yes to exhibiting and expressing the truth of who we are as the life and the energy and the love and the light that is God. Our work is to just remove the obstacles that we have created through our limited thoughts. And we dial up that ability to be love itself. When we remove the filters that we've all probably created through our life, I've got a few decades or two of stuff accumulated. The filters we create of guilt and unforgiveness, regret, resentment, then the presence of love indeed can be ignited in our hearts and in our minds. We can feel that love. We can surrender to its healing power and activity. We can express love fully, not half measure, but fully express love in the world from our own divine clarity, the truth that we know about who we have come here to be. Love that wants the good for another just as much as it wants and that we wish for our own good. This is the love that changes the world. The other night I watched a movie on Netflix called The Prom. Now I enjoyed it for two reasons. Well, a whole list of reasons. I love musical theater. I didn't really discover it until I was in high school, and I volunteered to usher for a drama production that was musical theater. I sort of forgot my ushering duties team because I was overwhelmed with the experience of musical theater. I can't even tell you why it seemed absolutely natural that people narrating a story of life would break into dance and song to tell the story, but I was all in. I loved musical theater. The Prom is a musical theater story. It's a story about not fitting in and about finding acceptance in the face of rejection, about creating the experience from the knowing to the very core of yourself who you are and why you are here, told through the eyes of teenagers and all of the characters that support that story. It's a powerful experience. Get your Kleenex ready if you choose to watch this. The ending is pretty powerful, pretty dramatic, because what changes the story is the expression of love. In all shapes and sizes throughout the characters in this movie, love transforms every life and removes the rejection and allows for that recognition of the holiness in one another. I also like the movie because my son-in-law was the visual effects producer on the show. So I'm having a little mother-in-law pride this morning. But it is a fabulous story of love. And here, as we talk about love on this third Sunday of Advent, we are coming back to this theme that we've held each week, that whatever the divine idea is, it is firmly planted in us. We have all that we need, and we simply need to open those floodgates so we can fully be that presence of love, to experience it, to share it, to deliver it into the world, to return the light in our hearts and in our minds as we move toward the light that is returning to the world in the birth of Jesus. The supply of this cosmic, transforming, harmonizing energy is right here. We don't have to go looking far. And it must be there. Love must be present in us, in our creation from God, because as God is in us and we are in God, then we carry the imprint of all the qualities, all the capacity that is God. So if we would describe it about God, we own it for ourselves as well. Just as we needed a rheostat to dial up our faith when we somehow have forgotten that we possess this potent power, we simply need to open ourselves to this truth and to diligently work to remove those things that would act as a limitation on the activity of God in us. Every good thing that flows from us into the world comes back magnified. Every good thing that is circulated returns for our own benefit. Now let that sink in. This is a typical principle. We often talk about the power of the principle of circulation. Every good thing comes back to us magnified. By the way, this would be a topic for another sermon, but so does all the rest of the stuff that we are spreading in the world. So think consciously about what you intend, what seeds you intend to sow in the world, and move that energy of love so that when we can engage in that reciprocal flow, we can catch ourselves when we somehow begin to churn in the limiting thoughts about how that return flow should look, how it would happen. You know, anybody else like to tell God how it should be? Yeah. What that would look like. I try to be in my higher knowing that what I choose to experience, what I choose to give to the world, that's my work. To be clear, to know my intention, to live in my purpose, that's my work. How it gets done is God's work. And we can release ourselves into that how through the power of love and the power of faith and the power of peace. All of it wraps up to give us the gift of trusting the universe and its wisdom and its activity to bring us into this cosmic flow of love. Meister Eckhart was a medieval theologian, someone who studies the nature of God, philosopher, a mystic, someone who yearns for that intimate experience, the direct experience of God, my heart to the heart of God. He wrote, and apparently delivered in a sermon, "Now God wants no more from you that you should in creaturely fashion," isn't that interesting poetry? "That you should in creaturely fashion go out of yourself and let God be God in you." let God be God in you. Go completely out of yourself for God's love. And then God comes completely out of himself for the love of you. Now, what I think that poetic statement is saying is we have to get out of our own way. And any time in creaturely fashion, we create an image of our mind of God. Now, imagine your mind and what it contained compared to the expanse of the universe that is God. Do you think you'd have a fairly limited idea of God in that creaturely fashion? So get out of that. I like to say sometimes that the spiritual path, it's a little good now and then to be totally out of your mind. And I think this is one of those instances that applies. Be out of yourself, out of your ego, out of your small personal identity so that God can flow into you. And then you as God, as that love, that cosmic flow engages the world. Let God be God in you. So if we grasp this idea that divine ideas are expressed at the level of the consciousness of our understanding, then when I let go of any limited ideas I have held on to about God, and I have placed my attention on the divine idea, I experience that immense freedom of cosmic flow. And I want to give you a practice, because while as I describe it, it might sound pretty easy, I think we all know that the rubber meets the road is the tricky part. So here's a practice for us this week. I invite you to go through this week all the way to Christmas, all the way through the rest of the year. Oh, heck, let's go all the way through 2021. Let's see how we can carry this practice of being in the flow of cosmic love into our lives so that we are its vehicle in the world. And the first step is to focus your attention in the area of your heart. Breathe into this heart space. So I invite, this is audience participation time, whether you're here or you're at home. Breathe and focus your awareness in this heart space. Imagine that breath, slowing and deepening, easy but slow and gentle, is flowing in and out through your heart. And as you continue seeing that in your mind's eye, let's activate this regenerative power of love or of appreciation, loving care or compassion. Those feelings that restore our sense of wholeness, focus there in that heart and the breath. Maybe you have an image in your mind's eye of somebody that raises that sense felt within your body, or a memory, a beloved pet. And just focus, rest in that idea, that thought. This raises the energy of love within us from the center outward. And then now, as you feel that love through every cell of your being, through every vibration of your energy field, now bring another human being into your mind and feel that heart energy radiating from your heart to their heart. Looping back, your heart to their heart. Your heart to their heart. Radiating that power of love, that feeling that wants for that other individual all good things, as much as you want that good for yourself. That the object of your affection, your love, your care, your compassion, you desire for them all the good that is available. And that's a lot of good. Radiate that renewing feeling to yourself and then to others. And as you practice this, then let the next person arise in your consciousness. Breathe, center in your heart. Feel that energy, that sweet sensation passing between you both. Now you know you will have reached the graduate course level of this particular meditation technique when someone who challenges you arises in your inner sight, and you can do that same radiating of love to that individual, wanting for them the highest and the best. And then center in yourself. Gather back to this moment. We began by speaking about the season of love. And let me be clear, yes, we celebrate love in the midst of this Advent season. Truly, the season for love is every moment in our lives, not simply one sacred month a year, but the whole of life, every moment is the season of love. So in this Advent, in this time of preparing for the light that returns to the world, the light that returns to our heart and our mind, fully fused with this cosmic power, we honor love as one of the holy aspects of the Christ presence. The Advent journey focuses on hope and faith, peace, love. Our Advent journey concludes next week as we celebrate the divine energy of joy. When we gather all of these together, when they have arrived in our hearts, when we have realized them in action in our life, then that holy just spills over everywhere into joy. But that's a journey for next week in the inspired hands of Reverend Johanna Kelly. Today, in this moment, let us adopt as spiritual practice this feeling of radiating the energy of this cosmic love, this power that releases all the good, all the God into our lives, into the lives of everyone we hold close. Indeed, we are called to be radiating this energy of love to the whole world. Blessings. Namaste. Aloha.